The glitch hit first as a sound, like a cassette drowning, and then my bedroom door breathed inward as if the wood itself had lungs. I yanked off my headset. The monitor still showed the raid lobby in Roblox, neon fog, a countdown, my username hovering beside my friends, Cordy Toast, and a new banner pulsing at the top. New boss, the Bracket King. The letters kept changing shape, like someone was editing the text live. Another breath pushed the door. My shelves rattled, action figures jittering to some hidden bass line, and from the corner of my screen, an NPC with the default noob smile stepped into my camera like it was a window. He tapped the glass, blinked, and mouthed, "You're late." "Toast," I whispered, because somehow I knew he could hear me. Cordy Toast's voice came through my headset like a radio from a sinking submarine. "Dude, the portal update is bugged." "Good bugged. Stay put. I'm trying something." The doorknob turned by itself with a click that was too polite for how scared I suddenly was. A hairline crack of cold blue light stitched across the wood and opened like an eyelid. My room tilted. I grabbed the desk, and the mouse skated, clicking something that made the countdown jump to 0. The lobby evaporated. A square shadow lifted off the carpet like a paper cutout coming alive, and the NPC, the same noob who'd just peered into my screen, stepped into my room as if climbing out of a photograph. He waved. "Follow quest." My brain short-circuited. I'm not wearing shoes." The noob produced blocky sneakers from nowhere and offered them up like a waiter with a silver tray. From the headset, Toast coughed. "Listen, when we spawn, don't move until I say. The new boss, he's different." "Define different," I muttered, eyes glued to the noob, who was now tidying my floor by picking up socks using a pickaxe. "Different as in, I think he can see through the screen." My window frosted from the inside with pixelated snow. The blue light widened to a square door, and wind blew in the smell of burned metal and bubblegum. I put on the impossible shoes. The noob clapped. Quest accepted. I stepped forward, and the floor gave way to grid lines. For a single vertigo scream frame, I fell past my own posters, my ceiling fan, my blinking cursor, and then I hit spawn. A canyon of luminous brackets carved into cliffs that bent like origami. The sky was a spreadsheet. The sun was a cursor. Cordy Toast landed beside me, almost dropping his sword, which was longer than common sense. He looked like his avatar, half samurai, half microwave oven, but his eyes were real. "Okay," he panted. "Before you say anything, yes, I pulled you through. And yes, your room door will be fine. Probably." He pointed up. "We've got 2 minutes before patrol. The Bracket King sends scouts, sentient patch notes. We stick to the shadows." Something shuffled to our right. An update log scythed across the canyon wall. Hotfix. Reduced player scream volume by 10%. A squeak echoed, instantly quieter, as if obeying. I ducked on instinct. "What's the plan?" I asked. "Plan A, don't die. Plan B, distract him with jokes until Plan A works." Toast cracked a grin, and then instantly flattened himself against a rock as a rectangle of black steps pivoted into view ahead, unfolding into a staircase that went nowhere. A NPC in a business suit with a perfectly round noob head walked down, carrying a briefcase labeled feedback. He stopped, sniffed the air, and then rotated his smile 90 degrees like a compass seeking north. "I smell protagonists," he sang. His teeth were UI sliders. I held my breath. Toast whispered, "If he asks for 5 stars, run." "Hello, users," the NPC boomed, face stretching to widescreen. "Kindly rate your fear from 1 to 5. Toast said brightly. 2? I've known worse Patch Tuesdays." The NPC blinked a survey into existence. It hovered between us, ticking itself. "Entry accepted. Thank you for your honest panic." He bowed and kept walking, dissolving into question marks. Toast exhaled. "See? Easy." A tremor rolled beneath our feet, and above, far up the canyon, a throne of black brackets rotated, each corner bent like claws. Something sat there, half code, half crown, its eyes small green checks. When it turned its head, entire menu tabs moved with it. I felt a cool finger press against the back of my neck from 1,000 meters away. "Don't look too long," Toast said gently. "He notices." I tried not to. Between rocks, a path opened like a zipper. We slid through into a glitched forest where trees had repeating bark patterns every 3 centimeters and glittering bug reports floated like fireflies. A tutorial dummy waved a foam sword at us. "Remember to hydrate," it yelled and threw a bottle at my face. It bopped against my nose with a reassuring thunk. I drank pixel water that tasted like mint and electricity. "Stop," Toast said abruptly. The path ahead shimmered as if someone had wiped it with an oily rag. Proximity text. What's that? Words you only read when it's too late. As if on cue, letters rose from the ground beneath our boots. "Do not turn around." A coughing sound like a car stalling pressed into my left ear. Toast grabbed my sleeve. "I'm going to turn around." "Do not." "I know. That's why it's funny." He turned. The world hiccuped. The trees became a school hallway for exactly 1 second. My school, lockers, posters, the smell of pencil shavings. And in that flash, something huge and angular was there, standing not at the end of the hall, but inside the frame of the fire extinguisher box, a crown of brackets digging into the glass. It wasn't looking at me. It was looking through me, through the fourth wall, past the hallway, the canyon, the forest, and then the hallway snapped back to trees. And then I realized he wasn't looking at me. Toast said hoarsely. "He was looking at you." "Mimi," I squeaked. You. Toast forced a smile. "Congrats on being main character." We reached a ravine bridged by a single blue line labeled temporary. My stomach churned. From the ravine, a laughter rose, loose and oily, as if poured from a can. A noob head bobbed up, attached to a snake body of error messages. It opened its mouth, and the sound that came out was my bedroom door creaking. "Don't engage," Toast warned. The creature coughed a shower of pop-ups. "Would you like to enable screaming? Are you sure? Are you really sure?" Toast swatted them with his sword, which made a noise like someone flipping a giant cookbook's pages. "We keep moving," he said, while the snake noob muttered, rate your fear, like a broken escalator. On the far side of the ravine, a stone started talking as we passed. "Fun fact," it said cheerfully. "This raid used to be a limited-time event, but we changed our mind. Now it's forever." Another stone chimed in. "Forever isn't as long as it used to be." Toast and I side-eyed each other. We emerged into a plaza where statues wore helmets made of brackets. In the center stood a warped mirror framed with angle brackets that curled inward like thorny vines. The surface showed my room, my chair empty, the headset on the desk, my door slightly ajar. The camera angle shifted on its own, and I saw my hallway, then my kitchen, then, impossibly, my school cafeteria. Kids ate pizza. My friend Laura waved at someone I couldn't see, then frowned directly at the mirror. "Hello," she said, and the sound came out here, thin as tinsel. Toast tugged me away. "No mirrors in bracket land," he said. "They're like trailers for episodes you haven't survived yet." "Does any of this have a map?" I asked. The noob who had escorted me in popped up from a trash can with a tata flourish and produced a hand-drawn map that was only a picture of a cat. He beamed. Toast high-fived him. "Perfect." A bell tolled, the exact pitch of our school bell. The statues tilted their heads. The plaza emptied as if someone vacuumed out the NPCs. A gust of cold language blew. "Bracket King, ready to receive." Toast eyed the sky. "We're close." We passed through a gate where the bars were curly braces that shivered when we touched them. Beyond lay the court of edits, floors tiled with patched notes, walls covered in crossed-out sentences, and in the center, a dais built like a keyboard. The Bracket King waited, enormous, wrapped in black symbols that clicked against each other with the tidy fury of someone reorganizing a file structure at 3 a.m. He didn't roar. He tut-tutted. "Late," he said, in a voice that sounded exactly like a rubber stamp. "Users always late. Want content? Fear cliffhangers, leave poor reviews." His eyes ticked green to red to green. "You bring friend." "Good. Stories require two." Toast lifted his sword. I lifted my hydration bottle. The king lifted a finger, and 5 menu tabs snapped open around him like petals. Settings, audio, difficulty, laughter, exit. Only exit was grayed out. I said, because I felt like I had to speak or be spoken for. "We came to beat you." "How quaint," said the king. He tapped laughter. The entire court began to quietly, politely laugh, like a sitcom with manners. "Defeat requires mechanics." "Do you know my mechanics?" Toast whispered. Mechanics. He edits your expectations. He cuts scenes you rely on. Rule 1. Don't finish your own sentence. Wait, what? I said, and my sentence clipped, mid-breath, as if a pair of scissors cut my voice. Toast snapped his fingers, and the cancel button appeared on my chest. I slapped it. My voice rebooted with a hiccup. The king's smile deepened. Good reflex. From the dais, cables uncoiled like snakes, their tips shaped like cursors. They lashed at us. Toast parried one with a clang. I ducked another, and it stabbed the floor, printing a tool tip. Tip. Dodge. Thanks, I panted. The king reached towards settings. Toast yelled, if he toggles permissions, run. The king toggled permissions. My shoes untied themselves and tried to run away. I flailed, grabbing at laces that had become strings leading off stage. Toast hurled his sword like a boomerang. It clipped the permissions tab. It flipped to off. My shoes sulked but stayed. Enough, the king sighed. This patch took months. Respect versioning. He lifted both hands. The court walls peeled back like book covers, and behind them, instead of more level geometry, was my school gym. Banners. Bleachers. The smell of floor polish and oranges. Kids appeared, flickering, mid-cheer, then froze as if a pause button had been pressed on reality. In the center of the gym, on our school mascot's painted face, a trapdoor of brackets opened, and something crawled out that made the hair on my arms learn to levitate. It was me. Or rather, a me made of bullet points. My outline was a list. Nose, eyes, fear. It looked up and grinned with placeholder teeth. Hey, bullet point me said. I'm the version of you that never commits. I'm the patch note that forgot to deploy. It winked at the king. Ship me. I don't think so, I breathed. Ship him. The king commanded, and the gym turned into a stage. The bleachers folded into a live chat. Messages scrolled. First time here? OMG, is this canon? Where's popcorn emote? My heart slammed. Toast shoved a shield into my hands. It was a school cafeteria tray. Mechanic too, Toast said through his teeth. He clones you with your worst habit. Don't feed it. Bullet point me sniffed. Don't worry, I'm on a diet. I only eat your abandoned ideas. It reached into my chest without touching me and pulled out a tiny scene. Me texting Laura and never pressing send. It popped the idea into its mouth like a candy and crunched. Sparks. I lunged. The bracket cables whipped, and Toast severed two with efficient board swipes. Hey, I yelled at the king, at the gym, at the live chat, at the part of me that cataloged my own panic like a librarian. This isn't your story to edit. The king's eyes narrowed. User believes ownership. How adorable. He flicked audio. The world's soundtrack cut to silence except for the sound of my bedroom door opening again. That specific creak, nearer now, as if the door were just behind my left ear. I resisted turning. Toast didn't. He turned, and the gym was a tunnel, and at the end of it the bracket king stood but smaller, in a school janitor's uniform, pushing a cart covered in tools labeled plot device. He looked up, and his eyes were mine. But he didn't disappear, Toast whispered. He appeared right in the school. The king cleared his throat, janitor-sized, and said, spill in aisle protagonist. And the floor turned slick with words. I slipped. Bullet point me strode toward me, swinging a paragraph like a bat. Time to trim your runtime, it crooned. Runtime this, Toast snapped, and threw a banana peel he absolutely did not have in his inventory. The peel's physics were god tier. Bullet point me skated past me, arms pinwheeling, and smashed into the laughter panel, which stuck to its face like a sticker. Suddenly, the polite chuckling from the court became hysterical snorting. The king winced. Immature, he muttered, and for a second his bracket crown loosened. I grabbed the loose moment. Hey, king, I yelled. I rate my fear 6. Scale is only to 5. Exactly. For a tiny flicker, indecision entered his eyes, a magic spell in any boss fight. Toast lunged and cut the exit tab loose. It fell to the floor, still grayed out, humming. The gym snapped back into the court of edits, but not entirely. The smell of oranges lingered, and our mascot was faintly painted on the tiles. The king raised one finger. Phase 2. The ceiling unzipped. The sky above wasn't sky, but my desktop. Wallpaper of a lake at sunset, icons like islands. Through that window, I saw my chair roll back by itself. Then a shadow crossed the lake, and a set of hands, my hands, reached into the wallpaper's water. The desktop rippled. My stomach so perfectly dropped I might have left it in another tab. Toast, I said. I think my computer is rating us back. Cool, he said. And then, soberer, not cool. The king shrugged off his cape, which was made of patch notes taped together. Underneath, he was smaller, sharper, more human, like a developer who hadn't slept. Final offer, he said softly. Join editorial. Help me cut the world clean. No more messy feelings. Only bullet points. He gestured, and bullet point me, still peeling laughter off its face, straightened, suddenly tall and crisp. We will make a version of you that wins quickly. I looked at Toast. He shook his head so slightly I almost missed it. He mouthed, boring. I thought of Laura frowning into the mirror. I thought of the noob tidying my socks with a pickaxe. I thought of the exact noise my bedroom door made. A sound so tiny and ordinary you'd never buy it in a sound pack. And I realized that what the king couldn't stand was not fear, or chaos, or jokes. It was specificity. It was the little, unrepeatable bug of being me. No, I said. I won't be cut to fit your patch notes. Then be deleted, the king said, almost kindly, and spread his hands. The world folded inward like a paper fortune teller. Brackets snapped shut. Text bled off the floor. Toast grabbed my wrist. Mechanic 3, he said, breathless. When he compiles reality, find the syntax error. How? Look for anything that doesn't belong. I stared as the court became a churn of black and white, symbols snapping into place, everything clinical and neat. Everything belonged, the brackets, the panels, the tips, except for one thing. The cafeteria tray shield Toast had shoved at me. It still had a smear of orange from a real orange. No texture, no UV mapping, just a smear. There, I said. We threw the tray like a frisbee. It hit the king's crown and left a comet-tailed smear. The crown hiccuped. A red underline appeared above his head, possible run-on throne. He swatted at it, irritated, and the underline turned into a wiggly little snake that bit him. He yelped. The exit tab turned from gray to ghostly silver. Doors don't open themselves, the king hissed. You still need a key. Good thing. Toast said, grinning, we brought one. He pointed at me. I blinked. Me? Yeah, Toast said. He's been staring at you from the start. You're the key. Is that because I'm special? I breathed, a little awed. No, Toast said. Because your bedroom door won't stop opening. It's literally a key noise. On cue, the creak came again, louder, merging with the court's silence like a soloist joining a choir. I turned toward the sound for the first time, really turned, and saw my bedroom door not as a door, but as a waveform carved into the air. The waveform looped, a tiny melody, 3 notes of wood and hinge and home. I reached out. It nuzzled my palm like a cat. The exit tab vibrated, as if humming along. Sing it, Toast whispered. Match it. I don't sing. You scream then. Your call. I hummed, embarrassed and weirdly brave. The note in my throat wasn't pretty, but it was exact. The way my house sounded on tired evenings, the way my mom's footsteps softened when she reached my floor, the way my childhood had a pitch. The waveform widened. The exit tab lit, bright as a sticker on a brand new notebook. The king lunged, bracket sleeves uncurling to catch it. Run, Toast yelled, and for once, I didn't argue. We sprinted. Bracket cables thrashed. The noob in the suit reappeared in front of us, blocking the path with his feedback case. Please rate your escape, he intoned. 5. Toast barked and clotheslined him with pure gratitude. The case exploded into confetti surveys. We leaped. The exit tab rose like a platform on a perfect timing cycle, always just too far. I jumped, reached, missed, and then felt small hands on my back as the tutorial dummy shoved me, screaming. Remember to hydrate emotionally. My fingers brushed the tab. It was colder than it looked. It soaked up my voice and pushed it back as a different voice. Laris. Hello, she said, as if through a phone in a pocket. The tab shivered into a door handle. I pulled. We fell not down, not up, but sideways into my room. My chair spun once and stopped. The headset lay where I'd left it. The door was open, showing the hallway, perfectly ordinary. For a second, I thought we'd made it, that we'd closed the loop, shut the boss out, done the heroic run, and dumped the loot. I laughed, shocked and stupid with relief, and then all the lights in my house hiccuped, and turned the exact shade of the bracket king's eyes. Toast, still in full avatar, looked at my ceiling fan and said, "So, you might want to sit." My monitor flickered. The raid lobby returned, but not as a window, as a reflection from the inside of the glass. The bracket king sat on my taskbar, polished one bracket with the cuff of his coat, and peered at me from inside the monitor as if inspecting a bug under a jar. "You brought the key out," he said conversationally. "Oh, that's new." Toast raised his sword. "Round two." "Round two." I agreed. And then my phone buzzed with a text from Laura. "Why did I just hear you humming in the cafeteria?" A picture followed. The mirror from the court, now hanging above the vending machines, frame made of angle brackets. In its reflection, the cafeteria was empty except for two figures, me and Toast, running. "Okay," Toast said. "That's very not ideal." The bracket king tapped my desktop, and a small, almost shy window popped up. "Patch available. Merge instances, beta." He glanced at me, eyebrows like caret symbols. "Shall we test?" "No thanks," I said, and lunged to unplug the PC. The power cable slid out of my hand like a fish and plugged itself back in, offended. Toast tried to slice the HDMI cord. His sword clanged off it. Sparks spelled warranty void if cut. "Hum again," Toast said. "Do the door." I did. The note filled the room, tugging at the edges of things. My closet shivered. The socks the noob had tidied earlier hopped once in their drawer like nervous rabbits. The bracket king pressed his face against the glass from the inside, curious. Toast grinned. "He likes the song. Lure him." I stepped closer to the monitor, humming, turning my voice up, making the hinge melody bigger and messier. Not neat like code, not clean like a changelog, but human, a door that had lived. The king leaned so far his crown scraped the top bezel. A corner of his cape stuck under the Windows title bar. "Careful," he murmured, but to himself. Toast whispered, "On three, yank the window." "You can't yank 3. Toast grabbed the bottom of the window with both hands. To my shock, his fingers sank into the glass as if it were dough. I did the same. The window stretched, whining, and the king yelped as his cape became trapped. "Release me," he snapped. "This UI is not canonical." "Patch this," Toast said, and we pulled. The window tore like a sticker. The king stumbled forward out of the monitor and face-planted on my desk, arms and legs all wrong in the real world's gravity. He scrambled, furious and bewildered. The cape ripped free and fluttered to the floor, where it became a bland, printed manual titled User Expectations. I stepped on it. He was smaller out here. Not tiny, still tall enough to bump his crown on my ceiling if he stood, but the world didn't flex around him anymore. His bracket sleeves were just cardboard. His eyes ticked green-red-green, confused. "Different physics," he muttered, and then Toast head-butted him. The sound it made was bonk, honest and stupid. I laughed, and the room felt more mine. The king reached for settings in the air, but only got empty air. He looked at his hand as if it had betrayed him. "You took my menu." "Yeah," I said. "Welcome to patchless mode." He hissed and lunged. We crashed into my bed. My head smacked the wall. A poster curled at the edges and fell onto his face. It was from a concert I never went to. He grabbed it, studied the date, and I swear jealousy crossed his features. The gig happened in a timeline he couldn't edit. He threw the poster aside and went for the door. The door, idiotically loyal, squeaked its song. The waveform of sound, invisible before, was visible now, braided light threading the hinge. The king recoiled like a vampire from a sunrise. "What is that?" he whispered. "Home," I said, and then my mom called from downstairs. Perfectly normal. "Do you want tea?" The king looked around, spooked, as if the idea of a mom was a spell he didn't have permissions for. Toast sidled to the monitor and slapped the torn window back on like a patch. The screen hiccuped, then showed the canyon again, empty. He looked at me, sword on his shoulder. "We can push him back through, but we'll need a shove." I nodded, and then my phone buzzed again. A new text from Laura. He didn't vanish. "He's right here, in school." He just appeared. A picture followed. The janitor, the king's smaller form, pushing a cart labeled plot device past the lockers. He looked up at the camera. His eyes were green checks. Toast and I shared a look. "Round 1 at home," Toast said. "Round 2, field trip." I swallowed, mouth suddenly dry. "We can't be in 2 places." "Correction," Toast said. "He can." He pointed at my mirror. which showed the school again even though it shouldn't. We need to split. Or do that thing games do where two timelines run at once. Either way, we move. I reached into my drawer and pulled out a roll of duct tape I used for everything from cable management to emergency sword hilts. I taped the torn window across the monitor, then hummed the Doors song, sealing it with a ribbon of sound only Toast and I could see. The king hissed as the window narrowed, sucking him toward it like a reverse banner ad. He clawed at my carpet, leaving no marks because he didn't know how dust worked. Stay, I told him. He hated the word. We bolted. Down the hall, stairs, front door. Outside, the air smelled like rain and plastic dinosaurs left in the sandbox. Toast's avatar feet clacked on concrete. Bus or run? He asked. Neither, I said, because the sidewalk ahead was bending, outlining a rectangle, and a familiar blue light stitched itself into a door on thin air. The noob popped out, breathing hard from running as if he'd chosen to have lungs. He handed us 2 bus tickets made of pixels. Raid continues, he chirped and pointed. A bus, our school bus, rolled down the street, its headlights square and its grill grinning like a noob. We jumped on. The driver was an NPC with most of a face. He waved without turning. Please do not converse with existential threats while vehicle is in motion. The bus rumbled. Houses slid by. The sky was normal, bruised with evening. For one stupid, beautiful minute, I believed the world was fixed. Toast started telling me a story about a time he fell through the map and into a hot dog stand. I laughed until my stomach unclenched. Then the bus's ad panel lit up. Patch available. Merge instances, beta. The ad flickered and became the Bracket King's face. Miss me? He asked. I reached for the stop cord. The cord wrapped around my wrist like a snake and turned into a sentence. Do not turn around. The driver hummed. Next stop, cliffhanger. I stood. We're getting off. Negative, said the bus cheerfully, and drove directly through a billboard advertising the school dance. The paper rippled like water, and suddenly we were not on our street, but in the school parking lot. Kids looked up, confused, then didn't, as if someone had edited their curiosity to 0. The bus knelt, hissed, and nudged us with a pneumatic sigh like a mom waking you for school when you're already dressed. We entered the building. The halls smelled the same. Pencil shavings and old announcements. Lara spotted us and jogged over, eyes wide. What did you do? Good morning, Toast said, even though it was evening, and bowed with microwave oven grace. We brought a boss to school. Lara looked Toast up and down, decided her eyes were tired, and settled for nodding. He's in the gym, she said. But he's also in the computer lab. And I think he's the vending machine now? We turned as one. The vending machine hummed. The buttons spelled settings, audio, difficulty, laughter, exit. An orange spiraled forward behind glass like a dare. Do not buy the orange, Toast warned. Obviously, I said, and bought the orange. The machine dispensed a bracket. I sighed and pocketed it out of spite. In the gym, the bleachers breathed like an accordion. The mascots on the banners blinked. The Bracket King stood center court, janitor-sized but tall in presence, tapping a broom labeled Cannon. Around him, students froze and unfroze, lagging. He looked up as we entered and smiled like a well-formatted document. Patch notes. Protagonists arrived at scene. Difficulty increases by 2. He raised the broom. The floor tiles shifted into keyboard keys under our feet. Toast stepped on enter and vanished, reappearing on the other side of the gym with a whoop. I stepped on ESC and calmly found myself in the locker room. I yanked the door. It didn't budge. The Bracket King's voice came through the vents. Escape disabled for narrative cohesion. I looked at myself in the locker room mirror and saw not my face, but bullet point me again. Tidier now. Hair perfect. Teeth like paper clips. It winked. New version. Improved sarcasm. It stepped out of the mirror, this time bringing a shadow with it. The shadow of a door, moving where there was no door. Not hungry anymore. I asked. Oh, always hungry, it said, and gulped down the memory of my first day at this school. The stomachache, the overfamiliar posters, the girls scribbling in the corner who would become Lara. Delicious, it sighed. Regret tastes like orange. I flung the bracket from the vending machine at its head. It stuck like a hairpin. The bullet points misaligned. Rude, it said, but softer, and I realized something. The real world hated being categorized. Labels slipped here. Out there, in code, labels ruled. From the gym, Toast yelled, "Left." "No, your other left." A crash. Laughter. The friendly, embarrassing kind. I grinned despite myself and sprinted back onto the keyboard floor. I stomped on shift. The whole room tilted italics. The king skidded, cloak flaring. Toast popped up beside me with confetti in his hair. Don't ask. Mechanic 4, Toast gasped. Use school logic. Bells, rules, late passes. The bell rang, by itself, off schedule. The king flinched. I didn't ring that. No, I said. We did. I turned to Lara. Can you pull the fire alarm? That's probably illegal. So is existing as a bullet point. She yanked it. The alarm screamed that honest, ugly bray that makes everyone the same. The bracket king clapped his hands over his ears, eyes red ticking frantically. The students thawed and immediately began doing student things. Certain girls took selfies. Certain boys tried to look brave and failed. The janitor cart rolled on its own, spilling plot device wrenches like candy. Toast grabbed the broom labeled cannon and snapped it over his knee. It bent, then sprang back, because narrative tools are dramatic. He shrugged and used it to pole vault. He landed behind the king and shouted, "Hydrate." The tutorial dummy, who had followed us for no reason except kindness, lobbed water bottles like grenades. We pelted the king. He sputtered, offended. "Stop being organic." "Exit," I said, and looked at the exit key. It was grayed out, of course. I put my hand over it anyway and hummed the Doors song. The key brightened, a whisper. The king lunged to cover it, and Toast blocked him with his sword. "Spark spelled, are you sure?" "Very," Toast said, and the gym floor agreed. Bullet Point Me appeared, hair immaculate even mid-battle. "You can't leave yet," it purred. "We haven't resolved your arc." "My arc is messy," I said, and stepped forward. "You can't eat what I'm not done cooking." It faltered, just enough for Toast to whack it across the room with the cafeteria tray, which had followed us like a loyal dog. It collided with the laughter banner, which fell and made the whole gym laugh again. The king, soaked, sticky with oranges that were probably metaphors now, hissed like a kettle. "Fine," he said, suddenly small in his tired eyes. "You want your exit? Take it." He stepped aside and gestured at the door under the bleachers, newly there, bracket framed but real. I didn't move. "What's the catch?" "No catch," he said smoothly. "Sometimes the best way to control a story is to let it think it can leave." Toast grimaced. "Hard pass. We didn't take the door. We took the window." Lara, who had climbed onto the bleachers and was filming because of course she was, tossed me her compact mirror. I angled it to catch the exit key's light. The reflection hit the gym's dusty high windows. The glass hummed the Doors song back at me. I aimed higher. The light cut a rectangle into the ceiling like a plot hole generous enough to climb through. "Up," I said. Toast took my hand. Lara took Toast because she'd decided she was in this now. Students formed a human staircase because sometimes school is good. We climbed. The bracket king watched, expression unreadable, and then, at the last moment, smiled with something like respect and tossed us the feedback briefcase. "For the journey," he said. We hauled ourselves through the rectangle and tumbled into the canyon again, the court echoing below like a memory you haven't processed. The sky spreadsheet flickered and became clouds. I lay there, gasping, laughing, not sure if my lungs were mine. Toast rolled to his feet, offered me a hand, and then, because he is who he is, bowed to Lara like we were at prom. She rolled her eyes in a way that meant thank you. We weren't done. The throne of brackets turned slowly above, like a planet deciding. The king was not in his seat. A chill didn't run down my spine. It sat. Expectations edited themselves quietly. "What now?" I asked. Toast squinted at the throne. "Now we finish the raid, but on our terms." He opened the feedback briefcase. Inside were forms. So many forms. How scared are you? How funny was fear? Would you recommend this boss fight to a friend? He rifled. At the bottom, buried under paperwork, lay a small, ordinary key made of polished wood. On it was carved a waveform, my door. We climbed a staircase that unfolded as we stepped, each step labeled with a memory. First day of school, first click in Roblox, first time you thought the game was looking back. Enemies tried to spawn, survey snakes, bracket bats, but the key in my pocket hummed, and they lost interest, went to fill other players' surveys. At the top, the throne waited. On the seat lay the bracket crown. No king, just the thing he'd made to be bigger than himself. Careful, Toast said. It edits whoever wears it. That's the point, I said, heart hammering like a notification you hadn't muted. We edit back. I lifted the crown. It was heavy, yes, but not like metal. Heavy like responsibilities you choose. I didn't put it on my head. I put it over the key. The waveform carved into it sang under the brackets. A duet no patch could compile. The crown softened. The sharp corners rounded, not into circles, but into parentheses, the kind you use when you whisper something important. Text appeared in the air, not in the king's tidy font, but in my messy handwriting. Exit available when you're ready, not when you're told. Nice, Toast said softly. That's a good patch. The throne shivered and folded into a staircase back down. We descended together, Lara filming, the canyon changing as we walked. Less courthouse, more playground, trees with bark that didn't repeat every 3 centimeters, stones that told jokes that were actually funny. The noob popped from a bush, handed me my socks, and saluted. Back at spawn, the portal home opened. It didn't roar. It purred. Toast nudged me. Ready? Not yet, I said and turned. The canyon held its breath. Hey, I shouted into the folds of the level. I know you're still here. Silence, then the sound of a page turning. The bracket king stepped from behind a rock like he'd been waiting to be invited. No crown, just the tired developer face, human and not. You won, he said simply. No, I said. We changed the rules. There's a difference. I held out the feedback briefcase. And we took your forms. He tilted his head, then laughed. Not polite, not canned, but surprised. Keep them, he said. I never liked paperwork. He looked at the portal, then at us. You'll be back. Users always back. They want more. Toast grinned. We do. The king's eyes were neither green nor red now. They were tired brown. Then I'll try to be better. Try to be weird, I suggested. We can handle tidy. He nodded. Weird is easy. He started to turn away, then paused and looked over his shoulder. Oh, one more thing. He lifted a finger. A text box appeared over his head, flickered, then stabilized. It read, cliffhanger, and then blank lines. You're leaving it open, I said. Always, he said. Otherwise, why come back? We stepped into the portal. My room caught us like a net. The door sang its song. The monitor showed only a desktop lake, sunset reflecting off ripples that were never the same twice. Toast faded, avatar smoothing into a blur, then into my friend's voice in the headset again. Dude, he murmured, exhausted and giddy. That was something. Yeah, I said, throat sore, lungs full, heart loud. My phone buzzed. Lara, promise me you'll never sing in school again. Then, also, when's the next raid? I laughed, and the sound felt patched right into the room. Soon. I typed back, and then, because the window on my monitor winked, just once, like a person who can't help leaving a joke for later, I added. But if I say soon, he'll edit it. So, when we're ready. A breeze moved through my open door. No blue light. No pixel snow. Just the house breathing. For a second it sounded like applause. I looked at the closet mirror. It showed only me. Then, in the corner, for exactly 1 heartbeat, a parenthesis curled like a smile. Not a bracket. A promise. And in that tiny curve, I saw the gym, and the canyon, and the vending machine that still definitely owed me an orange. And I saw the janitor pushing his cart down our hallway, whistling my Doors song slightly out of tune, on purpose. I almost called out, hey, but didn't. Some mechanics you learn to love. Some bosses you learn to miss. Some doors you leave a little open, so the next time the breath comes, you're not scared. You're ready to step through, with your friend, to laugh, to flinch, to hum the hinge, and to raid the next impossible thing that dares to call itself a king.